Wow, where do all these guys come from? Oh, well, I guess they're all families. You can see that. There's a little family of 3 over here. Oh, bigger family here. Oh, big family here. What have families got to do with algebra and maths anyway? Oh, maybe these are all families that love maths. That's possible. Not sure about the chimpanzees or monkeys over here, but maybe. Well, that's not quite true. What we're going to do is have a look at families of people and lead on to see how that connects with families in mathematics. Is that a way of looking at maths and algebra? I wonder. Let's see what happens. I've got 2 questions for you. Looking at these families, I want you to say, in families, what is the same and what is different between members of the family? And how do we describe that in human land? Well, and in animal land here, if you like. So let's have a look at the first question I've got for you. Come down here and have a look. What part of your name, what part of your name shows a similarity or how you're the same as other members of your family? You have certain characteristics, and if you say, well, this family here, they have 3 members, what do they have in common? I think whoever pictured all this pictured some fairly interesting characteristics in each of these families. And this is about time to give recognition to the writers of this unit, which mainly Anthony Harradine from the Paker-Botts Institute for Mathematics, with some assistance from Alastair Lupton. So thanks to those guys. And we're going to be using stuff that they've published as exercises as we go through this journey and having a look at families in mathematics. Okay, so what's the answer? What part of your name? I think you might have seen it. It's your surname, isn't it? If you line up all the people with the same surname or end of their name, then they tend to all have similarities. Okay, so your first exercise right now, and I want you to pause the presentation and talk to other classmates and your teacher about what could be a surname or a family name there and there and there. What can you come up with, do you think? Okay, so have a look and pause it now and see what you come up with. All right, here we are back again. I don't know, what would you call this? The family of hares? I don't know. Or mullet family or something? The Mr. and Mrs. Hare and Junior Hare? Something like that. And what might the surname be for this family here? Could be Brows and Mows. Browmose? I don't know. They've got eyebrows and Mows. Bromos or something? Something like that. What about over here? The monks or the chimps, maybe? Something like that. And there's, I don't know who that looks like, Daddy Chimp. Well, let's have a look at the structure of families as we do them in our world, as we look at them in our world. And the other question, of course, what part of your name shows the difference between you and other members of your family? What is that? Well, how many parts of the name you got, mate? Well, of course, it's your first name. Okay, the first name is your name in your family so that people will know you and see that, hey, you're different from other members of your family. So what's the exercise now? I want you to pause the presentation in a minute and give each member of these families a first name to distinguish them from other members. And we want to really analyse how we look at families and what we see when we have families of humans and monkeys and things like that. Okay, so pause the presentation and discuss it with classmates and your teacher. Right, let's come back. What did you come up with over here? Let's have a go at this one. Are these the hares, or whatever you call them? And you could call this little one here, I don't know, a cutie hare? Cutie hare? I don't know, something like that. She's fairly cute. And I don't know, Smiley and, don't know, has he got a moustache? I don't know, might put some names in there. I'm not very good at this. You'll have to find some for yourself. Hey, here's a lot of people in this family bromales or bromos or whatever we called them. And no, there are differences, aren't they? It's pretty hard to see. Here's Blondie over here. Blondie, but hair colour's not probably a good way of actually describing somebody, because you can change your hair colour. And there's a little dude in here, and this one's got a bit of a fatter face. So if we gave them all different first names, we could distinguish them. We'd know who we were talking about. And of course, we usually have male names and female names. What about over here with the monkeys, or the chimps, the chimp family? Oh, I don't know. He looks what? He's a puzzle. Maybe call him a puzzle chimp. I don't know, something like that. He looks like a bit of fun. Fun chimp? Don't know. You see what I mean? We need to have some first name so we can distinguish members of the family. That's the idea. We do this every day. And it's be good fun to chuck some names around for within your class to see what you came up with there. Okay, well, you might do that now, but I'm going to go on. So have a look at this one. Oh, this poor little fellow's lost his family. Here it is, got it written up here. He's lost his family. What are his special features? What might his surname be? What might his first name be? Oh, okay, I don't know. Do you know much about dogs? If you have a look at his chest markings there and the ears, then you might realise he's a dog belonging to the Doberman family. Doberman family. Is it double M? No, I think it's just single M. Single M there. Doberman family, isn't he? Well, might that be a good surname? Or might we want to do more to describe the particular family of Dobermans from which he came, a special surname, something Doberman maybe? I don't know. Does anybody know anything about breeding dogs and things like that where you do have a special name? Brainstorm that with your whole class, and maybe also think of his first name. Okay, so pause it and chuck that around a bit. Okay, coming back now. Yeah, well, with any breed, we usually talk about a kennel name. It's a lineage from a particular parent way back. It might have been a pedigree dog. So you might start with a surname, something Doberman, referring to the pedigree of the dog. I don't know much about that, so you're going to have to discuss that. And what about his first name? Was it a he or a she? Well, poor little fellow has lost his, so I guess whoever did this, Mr. Howardine, would have known that this was a male dog. Okay, well, I don't know. Have a look at the eyes and look at the face here. Yeah, he's sort of very human. So would he be human? Oh, I don't like human much. Maybe just Hum. Call him Hum. Hum pedigree name, whatever. Because he's certainly got sort of human characteristics there, hasn't he? And we want to describe that he's special within that family, and we can point right to him if we have that sort of first name, which is how we all differ from, describing how we all differ from each other, even though we might be within the one family. All right, are you getting the hang of it? This is, if you like, a family analysis, and you might like to bring along some photos of your family. Have a look down here. I've got another one for you. There's something different coming up here. Now, I think this is a little family, and I think you can probably see, now we know that this is a family because of the family photograph. Okay, we're told that. But there are characteristics, look at the faces, there are characteristics here that are similar. Can't see that dude very well. He's asleep anyway. Don't wake him up. Shh, keep quiet, don't wake him up. Okay, we can say, well, okay, they are a family because, and they certainly would have the same surname probably here. Okay, surname. Remembering, sometimes surnames change. If people marry and the female changes their surname to the name of the male. So we don't have that issue here at the moment. They're all male, so they've got the same surname perhaps. If we say they're members of the same family, now how do they differ from each other? They will have different first names as well. So that first names will be different because they are different people, and we can see that difference. But is there another one here? Look at the question I've written for you. How do members of this family differ from each other apart from their first names? Apart from their first names. Oh, well, what do you notice? Pause it, have a little discussion and see what you think. Did you get it? It's their ages. Their ages differ. Okay, their ages differ. All right, from a baby and to the next guy. The next guy's older, and the last guy's the oldest there. Okay, you've probably referred to this in your own families, and here we are. How do we describe that in human families? Do you know? Well, let's see if we can name it. Let's start with the little dude here, the baby. So we have, let's start down here. We'll go backwards up the screen. You'll see why in a minute. We have a baby. And before that, we have, this guy looks old enough to be the father, okay, of the baby. And then before that was born, before that person was born, we have this dude who would be the father of the father, which is called the grandfather. And then this looks like, down here, this looks like the old dude would be his father again, so he would be the great-grandfather. Are you aware of those sorts of names in our world of families? So, great-grandfather was a father of the grandfather, who's the father of the father, who's the father of who's the father of the baby. Okay, how do we describe that? That's how we describe it. And what's it called? We call these people members of different generations. Different generations within the family. Okay. Hey, generations. Let's just pause here. Generations. Hey, this is getting quite interesting, isn't it? We've got characteristics of the whole family, which are similar, sameness, if you like, and that's summarised by the surname. And then we've got different members there in terms of individuals at different ages, all with different first names. And then we've got this structure of the lineage, or the different generations, whose father was who, and who was that person's father or mother. We've just done it with fathers here. Just really keep in mind, you want to discuss that. You want to pause the presentation and discuss how this would look if you had females. Because how does that change if people change to a married name? Okay. Anyway, you might move on with that while I'll pause it and move and have a discussion about that, because I'm going to move on. Okay. Let's go on now and have a look. Here you are, something for you to do to get the idea, and I think we're coming into math land. Look at this. Now here's our first connection with maths. If you define yourself as being generation 0, here you are in here. List the people in your family in generations, neg 1, neg 2, neg 3, or 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so let's get rid of that. How many generations can you go back? When will you be able to move forward? Okay, can you see the idea here? Okay, I want you to pause the presentation, maybe discuss it with the rest of your class, and see if you can list down people in those generations, forward and back. Remember, mathematics here, you have the number line idea with positives and negatives is they're in different directions. Okay, all right, so neg 1, neg 2, neg 3 will be going back in time before you. Okay, pause the presentation, have a go. All right, well, I hope you were able to get rid of this here now. I hope you were able to actually list a few people. So here, if you're generation 0, this is your mother or father. Okay, here. And before that, it was their parents and then their grandparents. Can you list those members of your family? Do you know their names? And you would have various names for your mother or father's mother or father. like Nana or Granny or Pop or something like that. So think about those names. Now, how many people can you go back that you remember? Can you look up old photos? Maybe bring a copy of one of those photos in and stick it on the board. That'd be interesting. When will you be able to move forward? If your generation here you are at 0, then when will you be able to name generation 1 and then generation 2? Okay, so did you discuss that? This is then your children here, and then their children further on. So you would become a grandparent. You would become a father or a mother, and then you would they would have children, and so on. So you get the idea of the structure. We're actually setting up a way of generating families, aren't we? That generation is a very, very important word, and it comes from the idea that you can generate your family by continually having children. Generation. Generate more members, all with some sameness or similarity, or with the same surname if you like. Notwithstanding if females change their surname, of course, in marriage. So that's the idea. A generation. You're going to generate different members of the family. That might be useful in mathematics. Don't know. Do you want to find out? Let's come down here. Okay, and there you have it. I was hinting at it all the time, but here it is. A family of rectangles. Okay, so what's the surname? Okay, and all that stuff. Can we apply that? Let's have a look at what I'd like you to do now. So make one rectangle with a perimeter of 28 centimetres. Just remember, 28 centimetres for a perimeter, put it in the middle, is the distance. It's all the way around here, not outside. It's actually going from these points around here, isn't it? It's the total distance around the sides of the figure and add them all up, the perimeter. Okay, 28 centimetres. So you could make, so here's a class has done well here. They've got different ones. Make a rectangle with a perimeter of 28. Okay, so they are different shapes here. Okay, this is not the only one. You could have quite a few different shapes. Have a go. Make it the way you like. Don't look at the person next to you. And maybe try to make one different from what Huddy's done here. Okay, so 28 centimetres. You've got to do some measurement. Okay, and then the idea is once you've done that, I want you to pin them all up on the wall and have a look. They are all members of one family, aren't they? How can we name each member? What's the same? What is different? Apply the concepts of generation, first name and surname. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is to pause the presentation and have a go at that. Now, coming back, I want to give the answers to these things here. And so if you haven't actually discussed that yet, you've got to pause it again now and make sure you've gone the whole way. That you've got your rectangles, you've pinned them up, you're going to have a look at them, and now you're all going to agree on how to name them. Okay, so here you are. Here are some ideas. This rectangle belongs to XXX. Okay, now XXX. So what did you come up with as the, what would you call this? Maybe the surname, isn't it? Okay, the surname. And the surname would be what? Well, so it's a rectangle, but it's a rectangle with perimeter 28 centimetres. So what is that? Rect 28 or something? Belonging to that family? That surname, that's what they all have, which is the same. Please notice that probably rectangle is not good enough, is it? Because too many rectangles in that is a big family. The rectangle 28 may be, or P28 family, something like that. And its name is what? What did you think? Well, what's the characteristic that makes it different from the other members of that family? Well, there's a surname. What about the first name? What could you do? You could specify, what could specify that particular member? Well, you could call that L, what could you have? Maybe L10, meaning its length was 10. Do you need to specify its width? Or is L10 enough to pick out that particular member of the family? I think it is, isn't it? Because length of 10 means this would be 10, this would be 10, and a total of 20 there, and this would have to be 4 and 4. So you don't need to put the first name of this rectangle as L10 and width or breadth of 4. That will do. That would do. And what about the generation? What about the generation here? Okay, so don't know about that. The generation could be, what did you come up with? How does one differ from the other? You could think of it as generating from what? Long ones and getting to this one here, or tall ones and then longer ones, and some idea of how you could describe that generation. So you could shuffle these around a bit. So here you could say it's a generation of this height here, maybe. There's a few different ways of doing this. So this height here would be so this would be generation height 4 or something. Okay, or breadth 4. Something like that. That's a generation number. And there'd be many, how many would there be generations of this set of rectangles? How many generations would there be? Think about that. I think there's an infinite number, isn't there? I don't know. Right, so there's some different ideas here. Kick them around and see what you think. That's one way of sort of thinking about it. But you've got to have your own idea. So come on down now and let's have a look at a family of boxes. This is our last little exercise. And again, it's saying what we've thought about families and human families, we can use those to describe generations of stuff in Mathland. So let's make a box from an A4 piece of paper by cutting squares from the corners. Okay, so A4 piece of paper is like this, and if you cut out a square, there's got to be the square of the same size, okay, out of the corners, like that. They've all got to be the same size in here. Okay, we're going to cut them out. So our next stage is we're going to have this down here. You see why I'm not an art teacher, eh? There we go. Oops. It's got to be the same. So about like that. Okay. Now, if we sort of bend that there and bend that there, this is the net for a little box, isn't it? So if we now bend these up, all these sides up, we will have, I might have to just come down page a little bit here, come down here, and if we bend those up, we would have that bent up, and the side bent up here, like that, okay, and up here, the end there, and this matching along here. So these would have to be stuck together with sticky tape or something to make a box. Get the idea that we're going to make a little box here, a three-dimensional shape this time, not just a rectangle, not a two-dimensional shape. Okay, and you want to pin them up on the wall, and they're all coming out of one sheet of paper. All right, so let's do the same thing. They're all members of one family. How could we name each member? What's the same? What's the difference? The generation, first name and surname. Okay, so pause the presentation and do that exercise. It's going to take you a little time. And once you've got them pinned up, have a discussion as to what you think is the best description of this family of boxes. All right. coming back now, I hope you're able to answer all these. This box belongs to XXX. So what is the box? Well, you could call it the A4 box family, because you used a A4 sheet. So that was what was the same. And what is different? Well, what is different is here, its first name, and that's the size of the squares, I suppose. Okay, so the size of the squares, or maybe the area of the squares. And what about the generation? What is the smallest square you can take out? So the generation might be the length of square over here. Length of the side of the square. So if you took out 0.1 by 0.1, very small square, that would be that generation. The generation number might be the size of the side of the square that you took out. Okay, and as you change the size of the square, you generated more and more boxes. And what do the boxes look like? Well, they start with here very shallow boxes and go through to very deep boxes, don't they? All coming from an A4 sheet. This is where small squares have been cut out here. So the early generations of these boxes, and large squares have been cut out here because the squares give you the height of the box. Let's go back to this again. All right, that height is the length of side of the square, isn't it? So we can generate many members of this family. All right, so I hope you're thinking now, how can patterns in maths and groups of figures and numbers even maybe in maths relate to families and the way we think about it? So it's an exciting idea. So I want you to think about that. For the moment, this is the second presentation on algebra. I hope you saw the first one, algebra, what's that? But there's going to be more, so look forward to that, and I'll catch you in the next presentation. Cheers for now.